My life's path seemed to be set in stone from the time I was a child, specifically since I was 12 years old, due to an arrangement with the Harmon family. Every major decision felt predetermined, leaving very little space for my own desires or choices. When I turned 15, I spent a significant period living with the Harmons. At 18, I enrolled in a university major that held no interest for me, a decision made solely to satisfy both my parents and Sarah's parents. By the time I was 20, Sarah and I were married. 3 years later, Sarah gave birth to our daughter, Emily, and the responsibility of raising her fell primarily to me. In the span of a single decade, my existence became inextricably linked with the Harmon family. We were two individuals living together, bound by a family agreement rather than any mutual affection, and I felt as though I had no personal freedom. "Sarah, let's get a divorce," I said, breaking the silence in the middle of the night. She looked up, asking, "What has gotten into you now?" This was the second occasion I had brought up the subject of ending our marriage. And just like the first time, Sarah responded with sharp, dismissive words. Throughout the 10 years we had known each other, she had always maintained a polite distance. Even after we were married, that formal politeness never faded. We were legally spouses, but our relationship never felt that way. It was more like we were business partners, each fulfilling the specific terms of a contract. In truth, our marriage certificate was exactly that, a contract. "I am not messing around," I replied. "I am serious. I can't continue living this way, Sarah. Please, let me go." My calm and steady tone seemed to irritate her. This time, however, instead of reacting with anger, she paused and knelt on the floor in front of me. "Tell me, what did I do to upset you?" Sarah asked, using the same patient voice she always used, as if she were merely trying to soothe a temporary frustration. "It isn't about you specifically," I explained. "I just do not want this arrangement anymore. This is the divorce agreement. You should look at it and see if there is anything else you want to add. If not, please just sign it. Our daughter is still young. Let's not make this difficult." As I spoke, I retrieved the agreement I had already prepared from the desk drawer and handed it to her. Sarah didn't even glance at the papers before tossing them onto the nearby table. Her expression darkened, and her tone lost its gentle quality. "David, you know Emily is too young to be without her father. Just tell me what you want. As long as it's something I can give you, I will. Please, just stop this." "What if I want your heart? Would you be able to give me that?" I asked, a small, sad smile on my face, as I watched her expression inevitably change. Just as I had anticipated, Sarah's face showed clear discomfort, and her voice lost its earlier firmness. "If we divorce," she asked, "who gets custody of Emily?" "You can pick first, or we can let her decide," I said. I had always been the one receiving decisions made by others, and this time was no different. "I want to be with Mom," a small voice suddenly said from behind us. I turned around and saw Emily standing on the stairs, rubbing her eyes. She had already made her choice. Seeing that I wasn't moving, Sarah stood up and went to Emily, lifting her into her arms. "Sorry, honey," she said gently. "Did we wake you up?" Sarah comforted our daughter, patting her on the back while casting a look in my direction that I interpreted as smug. "Emily, since you are awake," I said, "tell me, if you could only choose one parent to live with, who would it be?" I already knew what she would say, but I felt I had to try one last time. "I want Mom," Emily answered, her voice unwavering. To say I wasn't hurt would be a lie, but I didn't feel any anger toward her. I just ruffled her hair. "All right then. I will respect your choice. When I'm not here, you need to listen to your mom and your grandparents, okay?" I said, sending her back toward her bedroom. "Good night, Mom. Good night, Dad." Emily was an understanding child and didn't linger. She hopped down from her mother's arms and went back to her room. Watching her small figure walk away felt like a physical ache in my chest, but I knew there was no turning back. This was my only chance to gain my freedom. "So," I asked, turning back to Sarah, "are there any other issues now that Emily's custody is settled?" "None. Just don't regret this. Finish your tantrum and come back soon," Sarah replied. She signed her name on the divorce agreement without reading any of the contents, and then walked upstairs to the guest room. It was both amusing and deeply sad that even at this final moment, she truly believed I was just acting out or trying to get attention. I found it impossible to sleep that night. Under the light of a bright moon, I went out into the yard and looked up at the sky. The brightest star visible seemed to be winking at me, and I couldn't stop a genuine smile from forming. I had lost 15 years of my prime, my life uncontrollable ever since my father passed away. Nothing I did was ever my own choice. Now, I was finally going to be free. Dad would be proud of me, right? By the next morning, Emily had already been picked up for school. Surprisingly, Sarah had not gone to work. She was sitting at the dining table as if she were waiting for me. "Morning, you're up. Have some milk first. Breakfast will be ready soon." Sarah put down her newspaper and stood up, looking exactly like a caring wife waiting for her sleepy husband to rise. This version of Sarah felt incredibly foreign to me. I glanced at the glass of milk in my hand but didn't drink it. "I'll skip breakfast. Since you're free today, let's go finalize the paperwork." Sarah looked annoyed, but didn't argue. She grabbed her coat and headed for the door. I retrieved the papers I had prepared and followed her. The process of getting divorced was far more complicated than getting married had been, but after a few hours, it was all sorted out. Holding the dark red folder containing the final documents, I felt an immense weight lift from my chest. On the drive back, Sarah was behind the wheel again. This time, I chose to sit in the back seat. After what felt like a very long silence, she finally spoke, looking at me through the rearview mirror. "If you are angry because I forgot our wedding anniversary, I'm sorry. That was my mistake. I won't defend myself, and I promise it won't happen again." I offered no response, and truthfully, I didn't feel anything. Yesterday had been both our wedding anniversary and my 28th birthday. Sarah had neither remembered nor acknowledged it. She finally came home late at night, waking me as she stumbled into the room. I quickly got up to help support her, guiding her to the couch and pouring her a glass of water. "Sorry for waking you up," she mumbled. I had hoped the apology was for coming home so late and missing our anniversary and my birthday, but she didn't mention either. I knew she had completely forgotten. "Was tonight's client really that difficult to deal with? Why did you drink so much?" I asked, while helping her remove her coat, trying to understand the situation. Typically, I never asked about her work, but on that particular day, I truly wanted to know what was keeping her so busy. Maybe she didn't expect the question. Sarah looked a bit uneasy, but eventually explained patiently. "Luckily, it was just a night out with friends. You should head to bed. I'm going to wash up, and in the future, don't wait up for me. Just go to bed if you're tired." After saying this, without waiting for me to agree, she got up and headed upstairs. "Sarah, let's get a divorce," I said. I spoke calmly and didn't move from my seat, which caused Sarah to stop halfway up the stairs. Sarah's sudden stop on the stairs in my memory brought my thoughts back to the present, sitting in the car. Without waiting for her to park, I went upstairs to grab my belongings. It was just a few documents and personal items, packed into a small suitcase, the same way my mom had sent me to the Harmons all those years ago. Sarah caught up to me just as I was about to leave the house. She looked slightly panicked and tried to stop me. "David, what are you doing? Where are you going?" I looked closely at this woman I had been with for nearly a decade. It felt like the first time I was seeing her up close while she was fully awake and aware. "I'm moving out, obviously. You didn't actually think I would stay here for lunch, did you?" Perhaps it was my less than kind tone, or maybe a specific word that hit a nerve, but her expression darkened. "What about the child?" How ironic. Even now she was trying to use our child to make me stay. She must have forgotten that just last night our child had already chosen her. "It is all clearly stated in the divorce papers. The custody goes to you. I am leaving with nothing." Did you forget, Sarah, or did you just not care enough to read it? Sarah, thank you for your care over the years as a couple. Let's part ways here. Unless something completely unexpected happens, we probably won't be meeting again. In my life, I never asked you for anything. Today, as a father, I am asking you this one last thing. No matter what happens in the future, whether you start a new family or not, please treat Emily well. Don't let her end up like us. After finishing what I had to say, I didn't look back at Sarah's grim face. I just started downstairs with my bag. "Where are you going? I'll drive you." Sarah came after me as I approached the door, offering to take my suitcase. I skillfully avoided her reach. "No need. I've already called for a ride. Don't forget to pick up Emily tonight." Thinking of my child caused my heart to ache. I had raised her myself, after all. From the day she was born, I was the one who took care of her. But no matter how much I did, she still favored Sarah. In every choice, she always picked her mom. Last night, I had booked a ticket to fly to End City today, which was my dad's hometown. After his passing and the subsequent deaths of my grandparents, I had never gone back. I didn't even know if it was still the same as I remembered. After losing my dad at 12 and being sent to the Harmons at 15, I had followed the path that was laid out for me. At 20, I married Sarah. Then I watched as she gave birth, and I raised the child. Through all of this, nobody ever asked me if I was willing. For 8 years, I played the role of the perfect husband, the perfect son-in-law, and the perfect father. No matter where I was, people praised me as a model to follow. My success was half due to my dad's influence and half from Sarah's father's guidance. I was the ideal candidate for the Harmons' son-in-law. Every action I took seemed to be meticulously measured. Yet, despite my attempts at perfection, I never won my wife's heart or gained true respect from her family. I was always seen as an outsider. Even the child I had painstakingly raised from birth saw me as second to her mom. I knew all along that Sarah had a long-time boyfriend, a man named Mark. He was from a small southern town, handsome and bright, the ideal look for many women. Unfortunately for them, his background didn't meet the Harmon family's standards. The main issue was that he had a rebellious streak that did not sit well with Sarah's father. Later, I don't know what Sarah's dad did, but the two of them broke up amicably, and soon after, the boy went abroad to study. After that, I was brought into the Harmon family picture. Sarah's father was meticulous about social standing, otherwise I wouldn't have been chosen at such a young age. My family, the Millers, was on par with theirs, and my nature was calm, never one to challenge my elders. After joining the Harmons, besides attending school, I learned how to become the perfect son-in-law for their prestigious family. Doing well meant smiles from Sarah's dad. Failing was met with a look that could kill. At 18, during a business event, I managed to impress Sarah's father, earning applause from him for the first time. His attitude toward me changed after that, becoming less stern. On my 20th birthday, Sarah and I registered our marriage. I thought at the time that it would mark the start of my happiness. At 23, Sarah, fresh out of college, gave birth to Emily, the first granddaughter in the Harmon family for 3 generations. From that point on, I had a bit of a position in the Harmon household, and I securely held the role of the son-in-law. Back then, I was just discovering the bittersweet nature of love. Even though I knew Sarah loved someone else, I still held on to a dream of growing old with her. So I pinned my hopes on Emily. Like my own father, I gave all my love to her without holding anything back. But, as it turns out, the human heart is not easily tested. No matter how well I taught her, it couldn't compete against the strong Harmon genes. The child I loved so much eventually did not love me back. Just like her mother, she saw me as someone she could boss around without fearing I would leave. Bringing my thoughts back to the present, the plane landed softly. Many years had passed, and End City was no longer how I remembered it. My father's hometown was a quaint and rainy village, located about an hour's drive from the city center. I didn't linger long at the airport. I called a ride-sharing car and headed straight to the village. In the south, it often drizzles. Soon, a light rain began to fall, and the driver drove more cautiously. The driver chatted warmly with me. As I started to get carsick, I only chatted here and there, which made the time pass at a reasonable pace. We soon arrived at the destination. The kind driver noticed I was not a local, so he helped me with my luggage and gave me some advice. "Young man, take care when you're out on your own. Be cautious, avoid empty places, don't ride in strangers' cars, and have fun." "Thanks, I will." "Also, I'm not an outsider. I grew up here," I replied. His warmth touched my heart. It was the first time in many years that anyone had shown genuine care for me. I wasn't lying. I did grow up here. Most of our time was spent in this village before my dad passed away. Only when I was 10 did we move back to G-City. Instead of heading directly to my dad's old house, I booked a stay at a local inn. Here, the wind felt sweet, the rain was warm, my heart was light, and I was free. I wandered around until late at night before returning. That night I was no one's husband or father. I was just me. Just David. I slept wonderfully, forgetting how long it had been since I had slept that well. Unexpectedly, I woke up to over 10 missed calls and countless unread messages. I thought something serious might have happened, but seeing that familiar number pained me. Sarah, who had hardly ever contacted me in 7 years of marriage, had almost blown up my phone overnight right after our divorce. I didn't return the call or check the messages, as I was about to visit my grandparents' graves and didn't want to get tangled up in anything. Before I could even eat breakfast, Emily called. I couldn't harden my heart against her. "Hey, Dad, where are you? You promised to be with me for the family activity today. What do I do without you?" I thought she was calling because she missed me, but no, it was the usual criticisms and complaints. The warmth I had felt in my heart turned cold, and my voice lost its softness. "Emily, listen. From the moment you chose your mom, your guardian wasn't me anymore. Your mom and I are divorced, and I have left G-City. For anything else, you need to ask your mom or your grandparents. Don't look for me. I am not seeing you again." She started to cry the moment I finished speaking. "Mom, I told you Dad's not coming back. He doesn't want me. It's all your fault, Mom." I hung up the phone before I could hear any more. With Sarah and the Harmons, Emily would be fine. She would eventually forget me and move on. We had chosen our different paths. If you don't decisively move on, you will only suffer more. I couldn't allow myself to soften my heart again. In the following days, the Harmons didn't call again, nor did I check on them. I simply sent my mom a short message, attaching a picture of the divorce papers. I changed my phone number, deleted all my social media accounts, and started the life I had always wanted to live. For nearly 30 years, I had lived for the Millers and the Harmons, From now on, I only wanted to be myself. Leaving N City, I went to X City, the place my dad and I had always promised to visit together. They say it's the closest place to heaven. Dad once wanted to come here to pray for my grandparents. Now I was here to pray, while Dad himself had become eternal. Dad, I made it to X City for us. You must have found Grandpa and Grandma by now, right? Dad, I have a secret to tell you. I'm free now. I'm no longer trapped. Dad, I will live this life well. If there's a next life, I still want to be your son, just not a child of the Millers. Dad, please tell Grandpa and Grandma that I was home a few days ago. Everything is fine, it's just less lively without you all. Dad, I must go. I don't know where I'm headed yet, but I am not going back to G City. Don't worry about me. I will be fine. Goodbye, Dad. With 3 kneels and 9 bows, I hung prayer flags and spun the prayer wheels, fulfilling my dad's long-held wish. That night, I dreamt of my grandparents and my dad. They all looked at me lovingly, smiling. Just like before, Dad patted my head and congratulated his boy for escaping the hardships. He said there was just sweetness ahead. He told me to take care of myself while I was alone and to live bravely. He said if I missed him, I should just look up at the sky. The smiling cloud, the brightest star. That would be him, watching me. He reminded me that we are born as independent individuals and told me not to grieve over someone who isn't worth it, not to hold grudges, and to look forward, walk forward, and never look back. In my dreams, I was smiling and happy. But when I woke up, my pillow was already soaked with tears. This was the first time I had dreamed of my father since I got married. I guess he was pretty disappointed in me back then, which is why he didn't visit me. Now, I had bravely said goodbye to the past, and I was able to see my father again. His long-winded advice showed his reluctance to leave and his deep love for me. I packed my bags, ready for my next journey. And then, Sarah came. It had been about 20 days since I had last seen her. She was dressed the same, in all black, but it seemed like she had aged overnight. Oh, right. I remembered she has bad altitude sickness. Have you had enough fun? Let's head home, she said. I felt a brief moment of pity for her, but as soon as she spoke, those feelings vanished. If you are sick, get treated. If you're out of your mind, get a new head. The Harmons have the resources. You'll figure it out. All you talk about is fun. Since when did you ever see me having fun? Anyway, our relationship now is barely that of acquaintances. Sarah, you are overstepping. I was already annoyed that she had somehow found my itinerary, and she still came here with an arrogant attitude, showing no respect. I was looking for a way to vent my frustration, and she arrived at the perfect time. No, I didn't mean that. I am sincerely here to take you home. I'm sorry. I take back what I just said. Sarah was clearly flustered when she saw me getting angry and started to fumble over her words. I didn't want to drag this out with her, and I didn't want anyone to see the drama, so I tried to talk it out calmly. Sarah, I will say this one more time. We are done. Go back to wherever you came from and do not bother me again. Your altitude sickness is serious. This isn't where you should be. Go back. I need to go too. Every word I said was honest. I did love Sarah once, but that was in the past. When she missed our child's birth, the 100-day celebration, and our first anniversary, I stopped having any hopes for us. Once I've decided to end something, there is no turning back. I have been fair to the Millers and the Harmons. From now on, I need to live for myself. David, Emily misses you a lot. She cries looking at your pictures every day. For the sake of the kid, will you come back with me? Seeing that I wasn't swayed, Sarah started using our child to play on my emotions, speaking in an unusually tender voice. But she forgot that Emily was the one who didn't want me around anymore. From the beginning to the end, it was her own choice. She needs her mom more than she needs me as a dad. In time, she will forget about me. Go back. Don't come here again. Sarah had probably never been treated so coldly. Added to her severe altitude sickness, she couldn't handle it and collapsed. After taking Sarah to the hospital, I didn't stick around. Luckily, her assistant often helped her with errands over the years, so leaving a number for the assistant finally came in handy. I first met Sarah when I was 17. She had just broken up with a guy, and I caught the fleeting emotion in her eyes when she saw me. She was incredibly good to me back then. Just how good? She would do anything for me, respected me, and would bail me out when her father gave me a hard time. But on our engagement day, Sarah clearly told me there was no love between us, only duty. David, we got here because of family expectations and an arranged marriage. I will respect you and be responsible, but I don't love you. We are family, not lovers. Though I was technically an adult, I was already caged by constraints and unable to resist. Blankly, I got engaged and headed off to college. Everything that happened after that just fell into place naturally, pleasing both families. Everyone except for me. In the years after our marriage, Sarah indeed gave me respect and was responsible for me. After Emily was born, our bond naturally turned into family love. I was the dad, and she was the mom. We played the part of a harmonious couple in front of our child, and an affectionate one in front of others. People saw us as a perfect match, a power couple, a union of equals. Such high praise was a strong shackle that bound me for nearly a decade. Had Sarah's lies not been so blatant, I might have continued living in that state of oblivion. But the final straw that broke us wasn't anyone else. It was Sarah herself. I resolved to get a divorce because she had lied too many times. That night, our anniversary, Sarah came home reeking of alcohol. Whether she did it on purpose, I don't know. But that specific aroma at her collar, mixed with a men's cologne that wasn't mine, was telling me loud and clear that I should step aside. Sarah's showing up here in X City threw my plans completely off. I had to rethink everything. Instead of returning to N City, I chose to stay in a beach town I love. I needed time to unwind and think about my next steps. For a long time, I had this obsession with going to grad school. I wanted to be a highly educated, knowledgeable man like my father. But being a husband and a father took up so much of my time. The Harmons' various events required me, their son-in-law, to attend as well. One thing led to another, and before I knew it, 5 or 6 years had gone by. Thankfully, I never stopped learning during those years. My mom would deposit money into my account every month. While I was staying home with the kids, I made some investments that did well enough to support myself. But I didn't want to be a failure. I wanted to push for my own worth. 3 months before the divorce, I had aced my IELTS and TOEFL exams. And recently, I received a graduate school offer from a university I had always dreamed of attending. Next, I would head to a new country, go back to school, and start completely anew. 3 days before leaving, I made a sneaky trip back to G City. I wanted to share my happiness and say goodbye to my mom, and also because I couldn't let go of that child who once thought the world of me. I just wanted to see if Emily was doing okay in the end. Even if she doesn't love me, I hope she can live a happy and fulfilling life. That year, fresh out of college, I moved back home. Sarah was pregnant, and living with the Harmons for those few months was incredibly stifling for me. Once Emily was born, Sarah and I moved away from the main Harmon house. Her dad was always around to see his granddaughter, but otherwise, he focused on his career and social life. As soon as I was up and about, I took care of the baby and the household. I was busy, but I hardly ever felt tired. Watching our child grow every day filled me with a sense of contentment. But since she started kindergarten 2 years ago, Emily had been spending more and more time with the Harmons, sometimes staying there for 3 to 5 days at a stretch. My once clingy kid had started becoming distant. To her, her grandparents were loving, and her mom was hard-working and amazing. And me, I was the one who was never serious, the strict one. I remember the day 6 months ago when I first mentioned divorce to Sarah. She dropped her usual gentle demeanor and accused me of being idle and just making trouble. The daughter I had pampered from the start stood against me. She said, "Dad, you're being too much. Mom dotes on you, goes along with everything you say, and takes care of everything in and out of the house, all while you laze around like a bum living a life of luxury. What more do you want?" That was the first time I had seen those looks of disdain and disgust on a child so young. Exactly those 2 words. Emily stared at me like I was a stranger, without a hint of love or admiration. In the months that followed, Emily showed me how she felt. Whenever Sarah wasn't home, she would stay at the old place, telling me not to bother picking her up unless it was urgent. What finally made me give up on her was her choice that one night. 5 years old is not 3. She is aware, and maybe somewhere in her mind she thinks her dad can't give her the life she wants. So, our father-daughter bond, it's done. This time, she wouldn't know I was here. I only wanted to see her one more time, to remember what she looks like. From now on, we would both live our own lives. I disguised myself and went straight to Emily's kindergarten. Before coming, I had secretly reached out to her teacher, Mr. Chen, to explain the situation. Entering the campus was a breeze. "Emily's dad. Emily's not been herself lately," Mr. Chen noted. "In class, she just stares off into space. The bubbly, lively kid she was has been so unusually quiet recently. It's almost scary." He is around my age and popular with the kids. He even pulled up the security footage to show me what Emily had been up to. "Some stuff has happened at home recently," I said vaguely. "She might just need some time to adjust. Please keep an eye on her, and if anything comes up, let her mom or grandparents know right away. Also, please keep my visit today just between us. Don't tell anyone, not even Emily. I'm on a business trip, and she can't know." I didn't mention the divorce. Both families aren't your average kind, and the entanglement of interests is intricate. I didn't need any extra trouble right now. Through the monitors, I saw Emily. She wasn't lying. She seemed a bit down, just as Mr. Chen had said, but I wasn't self-centered enough to think it was because of me. Even though Emily is Sarah's daughter, except for a little dimple when she smiles, she is the spitting image of Sarah in every other way. She's serious, almost like a little old soul, but when she smiles, she's like a breeze of fresh air. Those Harmon genes run strong. The women are gorgeous, the men are handsome, and their IQ is off the charts. The only hitch is that their EQs are pretty low, unless they truly care about you. After seeing Emily and bidding farewell to my dad, I didn't head to the Millers or the Harmons' house. Instead, I stayed near the airport to prepare for my flight to the US the next morning. I always knew Sarah was capable, but I didn't expect her to move so fast. I had been in my hotel room for barely 30 minutes when Sarah showed up with Emily. Seeing those 2 identical faces and their matching outfits, I was momentarily taken aback. Sarah dressing up like this? "What are you doing here?" I asked after a brief daze, recalling how things between us had changed. My voice was cold, devoid of any warmth. Before Sarah could answer, Emily broke free from her mom's hand and rushed toward me. "Dad, I've missed you!" Before, I would have immediately knelt to hug this child who was already up to my waist. But now, I quietly took a step back, both to prevent her from falling and to avoid her touch. "Stop. Stay back. I am not your dad anymore." With my flight scheduled for the next day, I didn't want any last-minute complications. I didn't want to give her hope, only to let her down again. My tone was stern, and Emily froze, looking from her mom to me before bursting into tears. "Dad, it's me, Emily. Don't you recognize me? Mom, tell Dad who I am. Did he forget like people do on TV?" Finally shaken out of her daze by Emily's cries, Sarah knelt to scoop Emily up. "Dad doesn't forget. You just got so big Dad can't pick you up anymore. Look, I can. Isn't it the same?" She comforted Emily while signaling to me with her eyes to play along. Sarah's voice, softer and deeper than I had ever heard it, suddenly made everything click. She wasn't incapable of love. She just didn't love me. But I'm David, and I've always been a rebel at heart. So what if the kid was born to her? We were divorced. Why should I pretend to play along? So I reiterated, "Emily, listen up. I do not have amnesia. I know who you are. You are Sarah's daughter. You used to be my daughter too, but not anymore. Don't call me Dad anymore and stop bothering me. And you, Sarah," I said, turning to her, "don't think I don't know what you're scheming. Since you're here, let's make it clear. Since the child was given to you, you are her only guardian. I hope you fulfill your responsibility as a mother. You don't have to do everything yourself, but at least provide some basic companionship. The teacher said she has been down lately, always daydreaming. We both know why that is. The BR Group is a big company with plenty of management talent. There's no reason you need to be involved in everything, right? Spend more time with her, do crafts, play games, read, exercise. All the things you threw onto me, try not to skip out on them in the future." After saying all that, I didn't dare to look at Emily's tear-streaked face. But I didn't miss the expression on Sarah's face, which was full of confusion and anger. She got to be a mom in minutes, while I spent 5 years raising that kid for her. If I didn't speak up, she might think feeding a child was all there was to it. I didn't acknowledge the look on her face as she struggled to speak. I just pushed them both out the door. "It's late. Take her back, and don't come here again," I said as I slammed the door, letting them knock in vain. As I heard their footsteps fade away, I couldn't hold back the tears any longer. "I'm sorry, Emily. Your dad had to push you away. Grow up strong and brave." I don't remember how I fell asleep, but when I woke up, it was already 6 in the morning. There were 3 hours until my flight. After a quick shower, I thought I'd hit the nearby mall, maybe pick up a few things. Also, I wanted to take one last look at this city I had lived in for almost 30 years. Who knows when I'll be back? It seems like fate loves to mess with me. Before I even got out the door, the notification came in saying my flight was delayed. I could deal with that. But the worst part? I opened the door, and there was Sarah's emotionless face again. I was already frustrated, and she had the nerve to show up. To not bother others, I pulled Sarah into the room. "Sarah, what brings you here today?" "David." Sarah has this bad habit. Whenever she knows she is in the wrong, she either hesitates or says something ridiculous. This time was no different. I couldn't let it slide, so I went in hard. "Last time you were supposed to see a doctor. Looks like you didn't take it seriously. First you were talking nonsense and now you can't even speak properly? Do you act this way with him too?" "Him? Who? What are you talking about?" She wasn't stuttering now. She was playing dumb instead, and even sounding impatient. "Mark, the one you're always thinking about." "What? Too scared to admit it? Or am I mistaken?" I wasn't letting her off the hook easily. If she was going to come running after me, she had better own up to it. "There's nothing like that. I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't have time to waste. Why are you here today?" Sarah's quick denial caught me off guard. This woman, usually so bold, now invoked pure disdain from me. "I'm here to bring you home," Sarah spoke cautiously, more so than ever before. "I admit I ignored you in the past, and I'm sorry. My dad pushed me into marrying you, and I never truly acted like a wife. That's my fault. But David, whether you believe it or not, you do matter to me. I just don't understand love or how to love." If she had shown even a bit of genuine regret or admitted outright that she didn't love me, maybe I would have given her a slight benefit of the doubt. But her constant denial made me not want to waste another second on her. "No, Sarah, it's not that you can't love. You know love more than anyone. You love your kids, your parents, and the person in your heart. You just can't love me. It's clear why you're here. The kid is hard to handle, and you're stuck without your free babysitter. You've come to trick me into going back. But Sarah, I am a living person, not an object. I owe you nothing. You have taken more than 10 years of my life. Isn't that enough? I have always played the part of a good Harmon, honest, hard-working, never overstepping. What did I do? Disturb your ancestors in a past life, or commit some heinous crime to deserve this torment? Even after the divorce, you won't leave me alone." By the end, I was sobbing uncontrollably. I've never understood why she married me despite not loving me, or why she keeps hurting me even though I am the one suffering. I did everything right, but she never saw me. But it's her inaction that led to her father's contempt for me, and the kids changing every time they came back. More than anything, I despise Sarah. She is the real villain here. Seeing my resolve, Sarah left in disgrace, her apologies falling on deaf ears. I just knew that from this day forward, I wanted nothing to do with her ever again. At noon, after nearly a 3-hour delay, the plane finally took off. Once we broke through the clouds, I felt my heart finally begin to settle. From now on, I am no longer anyone's accessory. I am just me. Just David. Maybe it was all the tension finally releasing, but I soon drifted off to sleep. In my dreams, my dad appeared again, smiling and wishing me well, regretting saying goodbye. Then Emily's face showed up, scenes from her birth to her tear-streaked face yesterday flashing by like a slideshow in my mind. In my dream, her cries for Daddy cut deep, tearing my heart apart. Just as I was about to reach out and hug her, the turbulence yanked me out of my sleep. Oh, it was just a dream. The early light broke through. It was a fresh start. After hours of flying, the plane finally landed. A gentle breeze brushed by, smelling like freedom. Thanks to the years of financial support from both families, my college registration went smoothly. Next came the organized chaos of finding housing, shopping for necessities, and setting up my new place. Life felt busy but not overwhelming. It felt fulfilling. While in school, I picked up my old hobbies and joined various events and activities. From piano and violin solos to debate contests, and even national competitions, a busy life brought me joy. Apart from sometimes missing my child, I didn't spend my nights sleepless anymore. Time flew by, and soon it was winter again. Back home, they were probably prepping for the new year. These past months, I hadn't contacted anyone back home or checked on their lives. The Harmons were none of my business, and my mom had a new family now. It seemed like everyone was doing just fine without me. As the clock ticked on, it was 3 days until New Year's Eve. Even though I wasn't going back home, I was prepping for the new year. It was my first time celebrating it alone, and I didn't want it to feel too shabby. I planned to visit a welfare house and a senior center to see the elders and kids, and maybe even get myself a dog for some company. On New Year's Eve, as I hummed cheerfully while prepping dinner, the doorbell rang. I didn't know anyone here. At this hour, who else could it be but the property management? When I checked the video doorbell, it was, as I expected, Sarah. I didn't open the door. I called management to handle it and then got back to making dumplings, relishing in being busy. Before long, the doorbell rang again. Just as I was about to get annoyed, I heard a familiar voice. It was my teacher, Dr. Elena Vance. She's Chinese-American, speaks fluent Mandarin, and is this graceful, efficient woman who settled in the U.S. with her parents when she was young. She is my senior by 5 years, already a professor while I'm still a student. We haven't known each other long, but she has left a good impression. Humble, polite, composed, and attentive. With her help and encouragement, I've managed to adapt to the intense study load quickly. My teacher didn't come in. She said she didn't want to inconvenience me. She just happened to be nearby, dropping off some things and checking in. I appreciated the gesture but felt uneasy. I'm scared of interacting with the opposite sex like this. Her not coming in eased my nerves a bit. After a brief chat, she left, reminding me to stay safe and not to open the door to strangers. She wanted to invite me over for New Year's, but I declined. Regardless of how close we were, I wasn't ready to get too involved with someone else's family. Sarah didn't come back for the rest of the day. I don't know what management did, but it was for the best. During this short break, I visited elders and kids, paid respects to prestigious professors, and explored admired buildings from foreign lands. I learned lots of new things I hadn't known before. It turns out I could live well without others' protection. The world outside is so big and fascinating. When I first got married, I thought I had found my safe harbor, but through all the stormy days and nights, it was all on me to pull through. Now, away from that home, I see a world full of sunshine. The storms here are nothing compared to those back there. 2 years flew by since that last meeting, and I graduated smoothly. The people I didn't want to see never showed up again, and my dreams were free from them, too. After saying goodbye to my teacher and classmates, I started my journey back home. I didn't expect to find my seat neighbor on the plane to be her Dr. Vance. "David? Professor? What are you doing here?" I'd rather think I'm overthinking this, because in the past 2 years, I had turned her down many times. I hadn't told her my exact return date either. "Going home." "Home? You're not—" "Yeah," she replied. "I'm originally from G-City. Even after moving, I've always wanted to regain my citizenship." I remembered her mentioning hope for her application about 6 months back, but I hadn't asked for any updates. We chatted on and off during the long flight, our conversations often punctuated by long silences. As the plane entered our country's airspace, she suddenly asked, "David, can I pursue you now?" I was already groggy from the flight, so it took a moment to understand what she meant. What? I mean, now that I have returned to my country, can I pursue you? Sorry, I didn't catch that. Elena, I'm grateful for your affection, but I still feel the same way. I'm not worthy. I'm a divorced guy, more interested in a career than in marriage. You're amazing and deserving of someone equally wonderful. Once more, I turned down her feelings. The wounds from an 8-year marriage still lingered, and my fear of marriage needs time to heal. Back home, I returned to N City. Here, I made my childhood dream come true. I opened a guest house. Having been treated like a commodity growing up, I always yearned for my own home. Now I have one, and I can keep a light on for travelers. Through that glow, I see the child, David, telling his faint figure, "David, thank you for being brave, for giving me today." We achieved our dreams. Moving on from the past with that childhood resolve, I've journeyed through year after year. There are no marriage chains, no emotional ties. I have fulfilled the wishes my father had for me. Another winter came as I set foot again on G-City's homeland. First, I visited my father's grave to update him on my life. I secretly went to the school where Emily is studying now. Unfortunately, I didn't catch a glimpse of her until the very end. The bonds between people can be like that. Once they're exhausted, even if you brush shoulders, it's hard to meet again. As father and daughter, in the end, we drifted apart. Sarah's epilogue. I first met David 2 years after my breakup. He was just a 17-year-old boy back then, but he was already handsome and stood tall, with the refined air of an intellectual family in every gesture. Maybe because of preconceived notions and pressure from my dad, I didn't like him per se, but I didn't dislike him either. Being born into a wealthy family, we both felt like we had no choice, me and David both. Our routine interactions slowly began to change over time. My feelings for him became complicated. I started to care about how he felt. I began standing up to my dad for him and protected him in every way. The way he looked at me wasn't timid anymore. He got bolder, calling me Sarah Sis when he was happy and by my full name when he was mad. When I was 25, we got married, just like everyone hoped. To make sure he didn't neglect his studies, I started coming up with all sorts of excuses to dodge the family's pressure to have kids. Until that unexpected moment, we seeded our hopes, and the next summer, Emily arrived right on cue. Later, I missed the 100th day celebration of our kid because of work, leaving him, who was naturally shy, to handle the whole event alone. I can even imagine the harsh words hurled at him at that gathering. Knowing I was wrong, I tried to make it up to him later by spending as much time as I could with him and the kid. But it seemed he didn't need me much. He was completely absorbed by the kid, looking at me not with love, but with indifference, like I was a stranger. So I sent our kid back to the old house, hoping David might focus a little more on me. But I didn't expect that moving the kid away would change his attitude toward me. I started to reflect on myself and brought Emily back, but she was spoiled by then. She got used to the lax environment of the old house and kept wanting to go back all the time. Half a year ago, Mark returned to the country, and mutual friends threw a welcome party for him. It was the first time we had met again after years. We resisted hugging, but I couldn't shake the urge to see him. Maybe my strange behavior was too obvious, because David asked for a divorce. In a panic, I lashed out at him. Since that day, I cut ties with Mark, and David never mentioned divorce again. Our lives returned to normal. Until our anniversary. Mark suddenly said he was getting married and wanted me to meet his fiancée. I agreed without much thought. However, once I got to the place, I realized the fiancé was never there. He had tricked me. As I stood up to leave, Mark, fueled by alcohol, hugged me from behind and confessed his love. He said he had never forgotten me over the years he was gone. Maybe it was vanity, but I didn't push him away. But I didn't expect Mark to make such bold moves. David's image flashed in my mind, and I snapped back to reality, pushing away the boy who had once filled my heart. I was scared to go home, scared to face David. I was terrified he would find out I had met Mark again. So I lied, saying I had a work thing, and stayed late at the office, drinking alone. When I finally got home, it was the middle of the night. I figured David would be asleep. I tiptoed in and turned on the light. But there he was, asleep on the couch. The noise woke him up. We had been married 7 or 8 years, and he had waited up for me countless times. He told me he couldn't help with my work, but he hoped I would feel the warmth of family when I came home. Honestly, I wished he would be a bit more selfish and just stop waiting, because I didn't deserve it. That thought alone seemed to push him even further. David insisted on divorce. He was firm. He didn't want me or the kids anymore. The divorce went through smoothly. David moved out, but really he only took his own stuff. Anything connected to the Harmons he left behind. I thought he was just upset and would come back after a break. But no, he flew to N-City the very same day and stayed away for over 20 days. When I finally sorted things out and went after him, I found out he had gone to X-City to pray for his dad and grandparents who had passed away. The altitude made me feel sick, and I said things that hurt him. Thinking back, he must have been completely disappointed then. The next time I saw David was the day before he went abroad. He had just come back. I was thrilled, but then I heard he was leaving to study more. It turns out, since he first brought up the divorce 6 months ago, he had been planning for this. I tried bringing him back with our child, hoping for another chance, thinking of the kid. But I was dead wrong. From the moment he decided he didn't want me, he meant no one related to me either. If I was the executioner of his heart, Emily was an accomplice. We both killed the David who was once all about us. The next day, I went to David's hotel. I wanted to show him I had changed, to win him back. I was wrong again. He hated me too much to ever return to the Harmons. He stripped me of my last bit of dignity, airing out all my wrongs over the years. I had nothing to say for myself. I bought a plane ticket and followed him, watching him thrive in a world without me. I had lost a boy who loved me. After David left, Emily was like a different person. She turned from a chatterbox into a silent ghost. She wouldn't come near me, not even call me Mom anymore. I knew she blamed me for losing her dad, for not being responsible, for not correcting her attitude toward him. On New Year's Eve, I took her to the city where David was. We knocked, but he didn't answer. He knew we were there, but didn't want to see us. Later, a graceful lady showed up. I recognized her. David's mentor, the youngest female professor at the business school. She looked at him with nothing but love, and there was no fear or insecurity in him, only a shy, boyish smile. David had changed so much. In just a few months, he seemed like a little sun radiating confidence. I didn't approach him anymore. Instead, with tears streaming down her face, Emily and I headed home. She bit her lip, holding back sobs. Our relationship fractured completely that day. We were mother and daughter, but just that, nothing more. Time went by. 2 years just flew past. That year, David came back with that woman alongside him. They looked perfect together. Free of the Harmons, David was living the life I wasn't cut out for. Back in the country, he had his own business, a home, a devoted partner. He finally didn't have to rely on anyone else. The young, lively heir of the Millers, the gracious Harmon's son-in-law, was gone. Now, he was David. Not just David. He was a successful businessman, an investor, a B&B owner, a well-educated man. And now she moved south, and I moved north. Our paths would never meet again. This time, it was really over.